In this video, now that we've gotten it all finished, and I've shown you sort of how to do it from start to finish, I do want to spend some time in this video just to sort of experiment and show you a few other things that I, didn't use in this last video because it was really trying to be efficient. Some other options for adding things and manipulating things and scaling things up and down, and different effects and view and sort of framing ideas as well. So what I want to start with actually is I'm going to get rid of this black crop on here. And what's cool about Premiere is if you ever do something and you don't like it or you want to try it, but you end up not liking it, rather than having to like remember exactly where you were before, maybe you've gone too far. In our case, we have like in order to go Control Z and undo all the way back to the first thing we did would be a little silly. You can actually just go back and hit this, and it will reset all of this effect tool adjustments back to where they were. Okay, so now I've got this thing going through here. I am going to get rid of, and meaning delete this photo. I think it's really specific and it's sort of, it's not animated, and I kind of want to just focus on those things because most of you are going to be familiar with still images. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to go ahead and delete this out. So now I've got this eye. I'm going to make this a little bigger. So now I've got these eyes sort of cruising around in the middle of water, which I actually kind of like. I almost like it better than the thing I planned on doing originally. So I'm going to adjust the scale of these just so I can see them a little better in the position. Okay. And then you got to make sure that you're clicking on the one that you want to adjust. So I'm going to make this one there. I'm going to pull it somewhere else just for the sake of time. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste some of these through here. So I'm going to go Command C, and then remember, if I want to paste it on this line, it's going to place it at the playhead, and I'm going to select the track that I want it to and unselect the one that I don't, and I'm just going to hit Command V. So I'm going to get myself, sort of 4 eyeballs. It's putting us over the 10-second limit, but I'm going to chop these down. Okay. So I'm going to show you sort of how to animate this eyeball. But first, what I want to do is I want to show you what happens when you adjust the scale of this to create a frame within a frame. I think it's a really effective tool to sort of suspend belief a little bit, and it makes things feel like they're floating in space. Because right now we're flattened out by the full frame of this. Okay. So if I just pull this scale back on this, all of a sudden we're in a different world, right? We're like watching a TV or something. And now when if I sort of go through these motions, it makes it even stranger to sort of see what's happening. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here, and one of the things I didn't show you in the previous duration video is if you go into here and you right click onto this footage, you can actually tell it which timestamp you want. So let's say that I want this to max out at 7 seconds. Okay. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a duration. In this case, it's going to make it a little bit longer. So it's going to slow things down a little bit so that it matches 7 seconds. Okay. So now we've got quite a bit slower water, but this is the sort of length that I want this video to be for this demo. So because I know that now, I know that I can sort of chop these up and move them around and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and hit C on my keyboard. I'm going to chop them up pretty small and get a bunch of eyes. And so what you'll see, just like we did it with with my video, is we can create a sort of illusion of animation just by moving these things around. It sort of becomes like this stop motion animation type thing. So I'm just going to move these through here. And we don't really need this many, I guess. So I'm just going to delete these out of here. We can always add them later. Okay. So now if we sort of scrub through this, you can see that it's just the one eye, and then there's a couple other ones moving around. So what I want to do is I want to adjust the location of this one. So let's make sure that our playhead is on the one that we're viewing. Oh, you know what I did wrong actually is I'm actually gonna start over here with this one and then this one. So they do need to be separate files. So I'm gonna put 3 in here. And this way I can adjust these all independently. So I'm gonna reduce the scale of this one down a little bit. See how they're all duplicated on top of each other. I'm gonna move this one here so I can see it. And I'm gonna move this one there. I'll move it up. Okay. And then it's so gross that it's that big, so I'm gonna reduce it down. It's a little unappealing, really. I'm gonna keep them kind of the same because I've left the other 2 that way. Okay, so I like those. They sort of are in proximity to each other. I like the square. Now it's a little bit more prevalent and obvious, which is nice. So now what I'm going to show you how to do, which I was trying to show you a second ago, is you can see that they're all synced up, which is extra strange, and I like it. What I want to do is I want to make these sort of blip, kind of like we did with the orb. Is I'm going to go in and cut these out, and I'm just going to delete sections in, you know, sort of like a methodical way. So I'm just going to take there and maybe here, and I'm going to delete these middle sections out. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to delete these the other way. Okay. And maybe they sort of overlap, I don't know. There. Sorry, it's taking just a second. It'll give you some variation, and it'll make it a little bit more active as we go through this clip. So now they should sort of be popping in and out of the screen. And so you can do this to sort of create an illusion of movement or animation. You can make things look like they're actually moving and sort of stop motion if you slowly sort of move them around. So if we have, you know, this guy here, and we just duplicate it in and out of here, you know, we can adjust the position. We'll just go over there, and maybe we'll go let's see what happens here. Okay, so we can sort of move things around really carefully. I mean, that's not very impressive, but you know, you sort of get the idea there. So you can add stills to this, you can add masks, you can add more color fields. So if we go back up here, say you want to make this a little bit more like formal, you can go to the new and then go to that color map. Wait, okay, and let's say we want like a really oppressive red in here. Seems like it would fit the theme of this. Whoops, let me add a new track because I want them to all be on the same timeline. Okay. So now we've got this massive red thing. Let's shrink it down a little bit. Okay, so that's pretty exciting. Let's rotate it around. And so now we've got this piece here. And so, you know, you can add another one in here if you want. We can chop this up. And we can sort of tell this guy to go, let's see. So remember, if you want to watch this one, this is the one you're editing. Move the playhead over. So I say we track in here. So you can really sort of play with it and see what happens with it as you're going through things, okay? So you can see that there's, let's play it through. Okay. The other thing to keep in mind, I don't love this red thing, is that we can still go back in, and I want you to experiment with these effect panels as well. So we really only have done with transition, but you know, if you go into distort and we sort of went into that twirl, let's see what spherize does to our water here. Okay, so we'll just like blow this out just so we get an idea of what it's doing. Okay. Increase the radius a little bit. So some clips it affects differently than others, and you know, sort of just depends on the type of clip and the type of the effect. Just so you can sort of see what happens to these things, okay? So you can add different effects this way. You can create sort of stop motion animations by bouncing around little clips from one to the other through here. And then you can go through and sort of see what these things do. But again, like I mentioned in some previous videos, it's pretty important that you exercise some restraint when you're doing this, and you know, really keep in mind what's being communicated as you do these things. Sometimes they're just cool. Other times they become really effective and meaningful. But I think, you know, this is one of those instances that less is more. So without belaboring this too much, we're going to go back in here. Let's say that we've got this. One of the things I failed to mention last time is adjusting the pixel ratio. And so I'm going to go to File, Export Media, and show you in this one. It doesn't really matter that much for the purposes of this assignment or for YouTube. I just want you to be aware that you can adjust these things. This is where you adjust those pixel ratios. So on the previous video, I'm pretty sure they were at 1080 and they were locked. And that's where, you know, most of the time it's going to be there. Or sorry, 1080 and then 1920 is what most videos are going to be. You can submit it at 1080. I'm not worried about it. They look pretty similar, at least on screen. But this is where you adjust that at. You hit 720 and then it will adjust the aspect ratio accordingly. Okay. So that's it. Make sure you export as both, like we already talked about, and then submit them through Canvas. And that's it. You're an animator.